Some patterns feel like choices until you finally see the thread. Chapter 4, Patterns You Didn't Choose, New Orleans is a city built on repetition. Rhythms, footsteps, stories told and retold. Music looping through the French Quarter like a heartbeat that never stops. From this hotel window I can see the old streets winding through the city, narrow, uneven, full of history. There's something about New Orleans that feels familiar even if you've never been here before. Maybe it's the way the past lingers in the air. Maybe it's the way the city carries its scars openly, without apology. It's the right place to talk about patterns, especially the ones you don't choose. This chapter begins where the last one left off, with a spark I didn't understand, a moment that shouldn't have happened, a feeling I didn't have words for. But the truth is, it didn't stop there. It repeated, not in dramatic ways, not in ways that would make a movie script, just in small, subtle moments that added up over time. That's how patterns work, quietly, steadily, almost invisibly. When you're young, you don't recognize repetition as a pattern. You just think, this is how things are. You don't question it. You don't analyze it. You just absorb it. And I absorbed more than I realized. There were moments, small ones, where boundaries blurred again. Moments where curiosity and attention mixed in ways that felt familiar. Moments where I felt seen in a way I didn't understand, and yet wanted. I didn't know how to interpret any of it. I didn't know how to talk about it. I didn't know how to separate what was happening from what I thought it meant about me. So I did what I always did. I tucked it away. I built another box in my mind, and I kept going. But the pattern kept repeating. New Orleans has this way of looping sound, a trumpet riff echoing down a street, a drum beat bouncing off brick walls, a melody you hear 3 blocks away before you ever see the musician. Patterns here aren't mistakes. They're culture, their identity. But in my life, the patterns weren't music. They were confusion, curiosity, shame, comfort, escape, all tangled together. On the outside, I looked like any other kid, normal, happy, fine. But inside, I was living in a private world. A world shaped by moments I didn't understand and didn't know how to process. A world where attention felt like affection, where secrecy felt like safety, where repetition felt like destiny. That's the thing about patterns you don't choose. They don't ask for permission. They just settle in. They become the lens you see yourself through. And once a pattern becomes familiar, it becomes easy to follow, even when you don't want to. I didn't know it then, but those early repetitions were teaching me something dangerous. That escape was easier than honesty. That secrecy was safer than vulnerability. That desire and shame could coexist without resolution. I carried those lessons into adolescence, into adulthood, into relationships, into every room where I felt the quiet pressing in. Patterns are sneaky. They dress themselves as comfort. They disguise themselves as normal. They whisper, this is just who you are. But they're not who you are. They're just what you learned. Standing here in New Orleans, watching the streetlights flicker against the old buildings, I can feel the weight of those early patterns, not as blame, not as guilt, but as understanding. This chapter isn't about pointing fingers. It's about tracing the thread. It's about seeing the pattern clearly for the first time. Because you can't break something you refuse to look at. The truth is, I didn't choose these patterns, but I lived inside them. I let them shape me. I let them define what I thought was possible. And for a long time, I didn't even know they were there. But patterns repeat until someone breaks them. And this moment, this city, this chapter is where I finally started to see the thread clearly enough to pull on it. Patterns repeat until someone breaks them. I wasn't ready then, but I'm getting closer now. A different room, a different window, a different city each month.